conservatism is not one thing, obviously. Different people in different parts of the world have a different vision as to what they need to conserve and what they want to hold on to and treasure. In Britain, and in England especially, have an extraordinary political tradition. The parliamentary institutions, the common law, the monarchy, and so on. These are very effective things which have worked for 1,000 years. So it's very easy to say what a conservative should be in favour of politically. You must keep that, adjust it, adapt it, but keep it as part of your inheritance. And then there's the culture that goes with it, and so on. So it's not so hard. But the extremism that people worry about comes when there isn't such an institutional surrounding to one's social and political existence. If you haven't got the procedures of parliamentary discussion, of lawmaking, of the common law courts and so on, if those don't exist, then of course moving towards some kind of concept of the heart of the people, the spirit of the people, the folk, is in danger of becoming dangerous, as it did with the Germans in the 20th century. So there's always a danger that if you forget institutions and the regime of compromise that comes with institutions, then you might slip into this more virulent extremist position. But that's not only a danger for people on the right in politics, it's a danger on the left too. And that's what we saw in the Soviet experiment. They had the institutions of law, politics, not very good, but the law was definitely there. The Roman law was very powerful in Russia. They had the hierarchical disposition of roles and offices in the state, and all that was swept away. And of course, the whole thing became an experiment in extremism. And I think here in South America, you have certainly seen the left lapsing into extremist and violent forms, precisely because it has no conception of what the instruments of compromise should be. And for me, politics is actually about compromise. It's about discussion between people who disagree. And you need institutions which enable them to live together even though they disagree, as most of us do with our colleagues, after all. The first thing is, of course, to recognize that what you have to build is trust. And the natural condition of people who have assembled to discuss political questions is distrust. We don't trust the others. We trust ourselves. But to create trust between people who disagree is very hard. Or the only thing I could say about it is that it's a long process. And leadership helps. If there is a leader who can say, look, we need to take a collective decision, and here is why, so you must come together to take this decision. I think there's a long process of that kind. Trust emerges. And actually we're seeing that happening in Eastern Europe now, we're now 30 years after the end of communism, but finally people are beginning to create institutions to which both left and right can belong, and liberals and conservatives and socialists, etc. So it isn't hopeless. And actually Brazil is quite a good example of a country in which people do want to trust each other, but they've had some pretty bad experiences. But over time, that trust will come.